I would like to share with us a few things, children of God, and especially those of you who pray for this nation. The Bible says in Proverbs 29 and verse number 1 and 2, he that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. I would like to be very categorical here and speak to you from wherever you are watching me from this day and say this without mincing words and without any fear of contradiction, that there are things in our nation that are taking the very wrong direction. You see, even if we were to be silent, the stones will speak. When you see some of the people speaking in the nation, I want you to know that it is not okay for anybody in authority, whether in the offices that are being designated to deal with crime in the nation, or in the offices that we have elected officers to preside over. It is not okay to use those offices to intimidate those who are pointing out at some ills in the society. When you go after a messenger, then you are doing a very wrong thing to the messenger. It is always good to look at the message. Could it be right? Could it be correct before you just rush into reprimanding the messenger? I want you to know prophetically, the nation of Kenya has been chosen by God for a particular role in end time events and especially end time revival. But as that is happening, it's also good to know that when a people decide for themselves to go for a particular route, sometimes God may not stop a people from going the route they've chosen. And as a people and as a nation, it is good to remain on course. Whenever there are things that are being done which are not right, we speak out, because if someone is reproved many times and he fails to take heed of that correction, then their neck will break suddenly. That may mean many things depending on who is it that we are talking about. And I want you to know, children of God, when you see a nation where anybody trying to raise a contrary voice, or not even a contrary voice, anybody trying to raise, their concerns about what is happening in the nation, is quickly picked and sometimes summoned by the officers who are committed, who have been, taken the oath to stand as intelligent, people who can be able to discern between right and wrong, and the NSIS and the DCI's office. When you see some kind of moves, which sometimes I believe the DCI himself may not be knowing exactly when they are happening, and why some people are so eager to take such kind of steps. Whenever you see such things happening in a nation, it is pointing to the wrong direction. It is good to understand that whenever something that is wrong with our society is pointed out, whether by people we agree with or by people we disagree with, The important thing at that particular point in time is that something wrong has been pointed out unto us. We may not like the language, we may not like the person, we may not even agree with the beliefs of those people. But when the message is true, then it follows that it is important for everybody in the nation to take the message serious. Let me say this, even concerning the young man who expressed his dissatisfaction with the way we behave as a nation and as a people, and not in any particular way pointing at some people, especially the people who are holding offices of constitutional offices. When they go out so quickly to brand him this or that, or even to begin to issue threats, then it defeats any sane mind why we have these officers in those positions of authority. And prophetically speaking, this nation, many people have dissatisfactions and they have not been able to voice them out. So instead of going after those who are speaking out, kindly go after solving the problems that have been pointed out. Actually, the easiest way out when such kind of things are pointed out is for somebody to acknowledge that it is true. There are things that are not right. The language may not be okay, but the message is true. The person who is communicating it may not be, may not be somebody we agree with, whether it is their faith or their beliefs. But I want you to know that Jesus said we should learn a lesson even from a fig tree. And that is why Jesus agreed with the high priest that time, even when the high priest was not correct, was not the right person, but the message was correct. When he said it is better for one person to die than for the nation to perish. When he spoke that way, he was sitting on the seat of the high priest who was supposed to be speaking concerning Jesus and his death on the cross, so that all of us might be saved, including the nation of Israel. But when we see men and women rushing out to stop any mouth that is speaking about what is happening in our nation and trying to wake people up, I wish that the people in authority in this nation would be able to discern and to know the times that we are living in. It is not okay to wait until a revolution like the one that happened in Sudan happens here. I believe there is a way that the leaders can be able to, to take to ride on the waves instead of standing against the waves. I believe it is not okay to wait until something like the one that happened in Madagascar happens here. You see, when the people are tired of something, sometimes they don't want to rise up in violence. They want to express themselves. They want to speak out. And they want to show cause why a government and a people should listen to the populace. But when the populace understands and begins to see that there is nobody to listen to them, believe you me, the river will break its banks. And that time, nobody will be able to draw it back to where it is supposed to be flowing through. Because once it becomes chaotic, then nobody is able to control it. But when people are still adhering to the rule of law, but they are expressing themselves, I think something can be done by the security apparatus that are in the nation to guide such people, not to stand and threaten them or to stand and summon them. I was watching and following when the young man who sang the other day was summoned to the DCI headquarters, is not enough for such a thing. It's not enough, to be summoned, to such a high level office. It is good for you to understand how to go about such a thing, even though there was a denial from the same office. But I tell you, it is in the public domain that somebody must have called him there, whether he meant it or he was just trying the waters. It is not the right thing to do. And I want to urge all the officers that we have in the nation. You see, when the church begins to speak out on matters that affect the society, then it is important for people to listen. Why? Because if you don't listen to the voice of reason that is there in the society, then I want to tell you that there is a law, that a spiritual law, that once it is broken, then the repercussions cannot be corrected by the constitution, and they cannot be corrected by mere sittings. The repercussions of spiritual laws are spiritual, and a spirit enters into the people. And all of them, if a spirit of rebellion begins to catch up with people, I tell you the truth, the rule of law cannot be able to stop them. And I pray that before such things begin to happen, because all of us, we need the peace and tranquility that we have enjoyed as a nation. And for it to continue to be so, then people have to begin to take responsibilities outside the box that people are trying to be pushed into. I want you to know, all the people that ever fought against the cause that God had determined for a particular nation, they were crushed on the way, irrespective of how ranking they were when it began. But those who understood and they began to move in line with what God was doing, God preserved them. I remember one evil king by the name King Ahab, whose wife was a witch by the name Jezebel. The day that the Lord spoke evil concerning him and his kingdom, he repented in sackcloth. He never went out for a political rally. He repented on sackcloth, and God repented of the evil that he was to bring upon him. And he said, "It will surely come, but not in your time." Why are our leaders so stiff-necked? Why is it so hard for many of our leaders to hear and listen when God speaks? Why is it so hard for them to understand the direction that they are pushing the people to take is a dangerous direction? Why is it so hard? You see, when we speak, sometimes we don't speak because of what is happening today. We speak because of what we see in the spiritual realm. And we see things that are not okay. We see turmoil. We see things that are not okay to just go out and speak about them in the public. We wish that the leaders would hear when God speaks and would take heed to what the Lord is saying. Because as we see in the spiritual realm, evil is determined, and there are things that are moving towards our nation which are not okay. You see, on one side, God is speaking about the good that He has decided to do in our nation, the revival, the blessing, the economic revival, the change that we desire as a nation. God is speaking about that. But on the other side, I saw, and there was unrest everywhere. Men were running up and down, even in schools. There are a lot of unrest. Many people armed entering into schools and entering into marketplaces, and there was no place to hide for the people. That is happening on one side. On the other hand, God is saying, take heed and be keen on what I am saying, and I will give you rest as a nation. I will heal your economy. I will heal your leadership. I will change things for you. But how many people are willing to hear? How many people are willing to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is speaking? Many people are giving a deaf ear to what is happening. Many leaders are burying their heads in the sand. They are not willing to, to go head on and confront issues. Instead, they are turning to confront messengers. When you see a messenger come to you, there is a lot that goes into a messenger before they put their life on the line to confront leadership and to confront, the people, the powers that be at a particular time. But when you see confrontation coming from every quarter, every corner of the nation, the people that were not speaking either, when you see them begin to speak, then you understand that something is seriously wrong. And I pray and I call upon the leadership of this country that people may begin to look at uh, what is truly hailing the masses. You see, we are living in very interesting times. At our time, the generation that we are living in is very impatient, very impatient. It is not like the generations that have gone before us. And let me tell you, the unrest that came upon Khartoum and his government was not started by a politician. It began with a little girl with a little tweet. And because the people were tired, that little spark swept a nation, swept away a government. Up to now, they are still trying to save the former president by, appeasing the masses, by portraying themselves as dealing with that regime. But I want you to know, children of God, it is not worthy. It is not the right direction to go. It is not worthy waiting until things get out of hand. It is not okay. Somebody can do something and speak out and be an embodiment of what is ailing the nation. Let me tell you the truth. It is not okay for the government to watch when Chinese are taking over so many of the things that Kenyans can be able to do. It is not okay when you see demonstrations against them, against the Chinese farms which are working in our nation, and the grievances are real. It is not okay for the government to turn a deaf ear. It is not okay for the people in leadership, the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of that is in charge of the roads and other infrastructure developments in the country. It is not okay for them to give a deaf ear to the little men and little girls who are voicing their grievances against the Chinese. But in the beginning of the year, I was praying for this nation in Catalonia Prayer Center, when the Lord said that in this year we shall have drought. Number two, we shall begin to feel the pinch of the Chinese terms and conditions. It is true, we have felt them. We have seen just yesterday, there were demonstrations of the people who are working for the Chinese farms here. The people, those farms are not willing to send them for the Christmas vacation with at least something they can take home and feel like they have been working. And the Chinese are so bold to be confronting them. It is not okay. We are not foreigners in this nation. It is not okay. When you see the young man who sang a song and he was trying to wake up Kenyans, yes, the language is not okay because I don't believe it was okay to call Kenyans fools. But the language may have, resulted from when the language is too good. Many people are not listening. Nobody is listening. Nobody is reporting that kind of language. But as a society, we can still go towards a place where we can still speak with the right kind of language and still listen to one another. And because it is not okay to see the farmers being shortchanged so much by the manufacturers and the producers and the value adding farms in our nation, whether it is rice, whether it is pyrethrum, maize, milk, and all the other farmers. When you hear them crying from every side, then I tell you, it is high time somebody woke up and somebody called it a bluff and rise up to the occasion. And I wish that the leaders that we have can rise up. You see, when some people who have been entrusted with leadership are not able to lead in the right way, and here I mean when when the MPs and the senators and the cabinet secretaries and the president and the entire executive and the opposition, which has now joined the government, when they are not able to talk to each other and speak for the common wananchi, then that leadership is actually digging a pit for themselves. Because I believe that at least now we should be seeing people speaking for the common man and saying, no, this cannot continue. You see, Kenya is a land where people are so tolerant. Leave alone the few times that you have seen polarization here and there, only in the days of elections. But all the other times, Kenyans are very, patient and tolerant. But the generation we have now is too impatient. Look at the children at your home, how they are dealing with issues. They are too, impatient. They want to see the right thing done. They want to see justice being done, or at least being seen to be done. But when something happens and they perceive that this is not justice, because I tell you, not the courts, the lawyers, the judges, they are not the only ones who have the monopoly of understanding natural justice. When it is not done, people will rise up, people will talk, people will begin, and some of the people will not speak the way I'm speaking. Some of them will throw up tantrums and they will go out and they will do something sarcastic or something that is dangerous for them to be heard. But I pray that people can hear the prophetic Kenya is not okay, it's not agreeing with the political arrests and the political threats that are going up every now and then. Anytime that we hear these kind of things, we ask ourselves, is it because we as a people are unable to follow some judgment? See, the Bible says in Isaiah 32 and verse 1, behold, our king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. So the king shall reign in righteousness, and the princes are supposed to reign in judgment or to rule in judgment. But I tell you, these children of God, sometimes we find ourselves far away from sound judgment and from righteousness. But what do you expect when many of the leaders have pledged their allegiance to the devil? What do you expect if they have disregarded the Prince of Peace? Do you think they will serve peace to the masses? Far be it from them, because it cannot happen. But God forbid that things will continue this way. I tell you the truth, I have heard from God that things are going to change. Things are going to be different. Just as the young people are saying that things are different on the ground, things are going to change. What is changing the ground is the heavenlies. In the heavenlies, there is a prince who has been brought down, and there is a prince who has been enthroned. Remember, when the prince of Persia was brought down by angel Gabriel, by angel Michael, who came down to assist angel Gabriel, that kingdom crashed. And the prince of Greece rose instead. And the next kingdom to rule the world was Greece, led by Alexander the Great. But still, he withstood the angels, and the angel Michael fought against him, and that kingdom also fell. And the kingdom of the Romans, or the Roman Empire, came in place. It was destroyed. But later it will regroup in the rule of the Antichrist, and it will be destroyed in the spiritual realm first. Everybody that prays in Kenya, destroy the spiritual ruler over Kenya, because the prince who has been ruling for the altar that is shared between the two major players in the nation of Kenya, that prince has been brought down. And therefore, there will be a change of God very soon, because another prince has been enthroned. And that prince is the prince of the kingdom of God, who favors revival. And he's going to raise real righteous people. And they are going to bear the rule. And listen to me carefully. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. That is Psalms 96 and verse 10. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. Say among the devil worshippers, the people who kill other people to reign and to rise up into power, the people who shed blood so that they can be in positions of authority. Say unto them, the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. The righteous judgments of God are about to reign in Kenya. They are about to rule in Kenya. They are about to descend on this land of Kenya. And let me tell you, children of God, things are changing. And so, if there is anybody listening, talk to our leaders. Let them know it is not okay to just go arresting the people who speak. It is not okay. It will not solve the problem. The problem will be solved when the produce from the market or from the farm will be bought at the right price, when the milk will be bought at the right price, when our productions as Kenyans is going to be bought by the government and by other institutions, and when the young men and women who we always hear they are jobless are going to be helped to be innovative. What do you call it when any major firm comes into this nation? Some few politicians and some few business uh, 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 people who are well connected hijack it. And now you find some young men who could have imported the technology of companies like Uber and begin their own, assisted by the government and by the ministry. Now they are there serving, for 30% or for very little. It is not okay. Let me tell you, it is high time somebody woke up, smell the coffee, because it is brewing and it is smelling so much. It is disturbing many nostrils. And prophetically, I tell you, as the Lord is speaking about a revival that is coming, He is also speaking about the turmoil that is coming if we do not do anything about the anger levels, the despair that is rising among the young people, the kind of giving up that is rising among parents when they cannot take their children to school, when they cannot raise enough to live a decent, low class life. It is high time that somebody in authority discerned the times that we are in and took sides with those who are oppressed. And God will bless such a person. God bless you and God bless Kenya, even as you ponder on these things that we have been sharing. God bless you so much and do you well. God loves this nation and He will not allow a few people to push it to the edge over the cliff. It may come close as it is to the cliff, to the tipping point, but it will not tip over because God reigneth. God bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.